in Massachusetts putting together a healthcare system that is leading all of our citizens to be on track to have health insurance. I'm pleased with the progress it's making. I'm sure there are going to need to be changes from time to time to make it perfect. Maybe they'll go back to the very proposal I began with, but perhaps not. But I am pleased with what we did, and I think we have set an example that other states can look to find ways to get their citizens insured, which I think is a critical priority for the country. I think it's important for our citizens to have insurance to make sure they have good preventative care so they can live healthier lives, and also so we can rein in the excessive growth and cost of health care in this country. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. Good.
Yesterday, Senator Jones, the national co-chair, said on CNN that Iowa's a place where we pick corn and New Hampshire's a place where we pick presidents.
Both states are key states in picking the president, and I'm sure the senator from New Hampshire is proud of his own state. I must admit, I like the process that we have in this country of selecting the nominee of each party. I like the fact that the first two states to focus on the candidates get to know the candidates on a personal basis, and don't just decide based on ads, but decide based on having seen us. And Wyoming now figures into that same mix as the second caucus state. But I appreciate the work that's done here in Iowa, and I would not have spent as much time in this state had I not believed that this was a critical part of the selection process, and weigh them equally.
Governor, about a week and a half ago in this state, Bill Clinton took the blame for health care defeat in 1993. What's your reaction to that, and how does it change the nature of your contrast on the issue with Senator Clinton?
Well, I'm happy to contrast Hillary Clinton's proposal at that time and her most recent proposal with my own. Her proposal then and her proposal now calls for more government insurance, expanding Medicare and other government programs, an extra $110 billion of spending by the federal government. That's the wrong way to go. My plan says use the money we're already spending to help people buy insurance that is free market-based insurance, not government insurance. And so we have a very different approach to the common problem we recognize. And my approach is based on the free enterprise system and personal responsibility. Hers is based on government. And you know, it's very nice of President Clinton to try and take the blame for things that happened in the past, but she's the one running for president now, not him. And she's going to have to stand up and defend Hillary Care, version 1.0 and version 2.0.
Governor, the city of Des Moines City Council is considering whether or not they might take up a proposal to make Des Moines a sanctuary city. Can you talk a little bit about what you think about cities that undertake it, contemplate it, and the issue of sanctuary cities and illegal immigration?
Yeah, I think the idea that becoming a sanctuary city somehow is going to enhance a city's order or lawfulness is turning reason on its head. It would be an enormous mistake for any city today to say, let's become a sanctuary city. If I'm president, I would rein in funding to cities that call themselves sanctuary cities that don't abide by federal immigration laws. I was surprised yesterday to see that Mayor Giuliani, instead of distancing himself from his sanctuary policies as mayor, said that the sanctuary illegal alien policies he had as mayor made his city more lawful, orderly, and legal. That is turning reason on its head. That's saying make something illegal legal, and then it's not a problem anymore. And it's the wrong way to go for this country. And I think policies, sanctuary-style policies, are wrong.
Governor, you mentioned that you would do things to penalize communities that might consider such things. But as governor of Massachusetts, there were communities that were sanctuary cities, and did you take any action to stop them?
I did. The specific action I took, there were 3 cities in our state of 351 that called themselves sanctuary cities. When I learned of the federal program that would allow my state police, of which we have more than a couple of thousand, to enforce federal immigration laws in all of our cities, including sanctuary cities, I applied for that program in May or June of my last year, and we got authorization to carry out those kinds of interdictions throughout our state. So we took the action that I knew I could take as a governor to enforce the federal immigration laws.
Are you saying you didn't hear about it until the last month of your term?
No, actually, we applied in May or June of the last year. The first time I heard about the federal program, the ICE program that allows people to participate, was about that time.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
I have a list of about 12 questions.
Are you a member of the media?
For the press, I
Yes.
apologize. Do we have a question from the press?
The press, I'm with the press. None of these relate to immigration, abortion, I want to know, do you have any plans to reduce the size and scope of the federal government?
Yes, I do. I will cap the spending of non-military discretionary spending at inflation less 1%, and have pledged that if I get appropriations bills above that amount, I will veto them. I want to rein in the scale of the federal government. I've also proposed plans with regards to our entitlement programs, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, to reform those programs to make them fiscally sound.
Governor, you mentioned the $100 tax penalty that Massachusetts residents will get. Isn't that a tax hike? Is that relatively a tax hike because it'll be in their tax bill? Isn't that something that you're against?
It is a recognition that people have a responsibility, if they can afford insurance, to either buy insurance or pay their own way. That was my proposal. My proposal was buy insurance if you can afford it, or pay your own way. And the enforcement mechanism I proposed, as I recall, related to driver's license availability. The legislature said, no, we're going to have an insurance fee for the fact that if people don't have insurance, the state's going to have to pick up their cost. Recognize it's the ultimate conservative view that people have responsibility to care for themselves, not to look to government to care for them. And my proposal and the basic structure of the Massachusetts system was to say individuals who can afford to buy insurance, once we made it more affordable, either should buy that insurance or pay their own way at the hospital, instead of expecting government to pick up the tab for them. Government reliance is not a conservative principle, and that's what exists throughout the country, except now in Massachusetts.
Will your national plan have a stick like that? Will you have some?
My national plan is this, which is to, and there are some carrots and sticks in my national plan, which is to create carrots and sticks for states to deregulate their state insurance markets so that premium costs come down. And number two, to allow them to use federal funds they're receiving today for programs such as dish payments, to allow them to use that money to help people buy insurance, as opposed to insisting, as we do today, that it all goes to the hospitals for giving out free care. So carrots and sticks will encourage people to either do exactly what we did or come up with something better, but to move towards getting all their citizens insured.
You've also talked before about how your plan doesn't increase the size of government, and today you talked a little bit more about the connector quasi-governmental program. Does that not, in creating that program, does that not increase the size of the government in Massachusetts?
No, actually, first of all, it's a quasi entity, and number two, it's a very small group of people, and we're if you will, doing the work of insurance companies. We're doing the marketing, taking the calls, servicing the individuals, and the insurance companies are paying for it. So it's if you will, it's a public-private partnership. And the most important aspect is that we're reducing the amount of government employees and compensation we had to have giving out free care to hospitals. So it's getting the government out of the free care business and instead allowing the private market to do its job.
We can take
Governor,
one more question.
yesterday you said that you thought Mayor Giuliani would have to come in the first couple of spots in the early primary states, just like you were hoping to do in order to carry on. I mean, I think that everyone knows that your strategy focuses more on those early states than his. Do you really think that if he finishes third, let's say in Iowa, that he won't be able to continue in the race?
Well, I think the history of the Iowa caucuses has been that you have to come in 1, 2, or 3 to be able to go on to the next states with the kind of momentum you need. And in New Hampshire, I imagine that the rule is very similar. My guess is he'd like to come in at number 1, or if not number 1, number 1 or number 2, and if not that, at least in the first 3. But I think the early states, given the fact that all of us have devoted a lot of time and resources here, more than any other 2 states in America, these would be a good test for all of us. I tell you, it's going to get close. It's going to tighten up. I started off early with the most advertising, as you know, for some time, because I wasn't known. I had to try and create the awareness of who I was and what I stood for. But now the other folks are coming in with their ads and getting out, and as a result, it's going to tighten up. And I can't tell you how it's going to turn out, but I sure plan on being in the top 3 in Iowa and New Hampshire. I hope in the top 2. Obviously, I hope to win anywhere I can. It's just never been done before to win both Iowa and New Hampshire. But if I could win one, that would be great. If I could be in the top 2 in both, that'd be great as well.
Did your health care plan in Massachusetts do anything to exclude illegals from receiving health care? And would you have any kind of...
Yeah, the federal law is what pertains to that with regards to our plan.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.